Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
It's been since the 1980s that this circuit has been in service. And here tonight on iRacing, we're going to break it out full speed ahead in the GT3. Here tonight, live from Long Beach, it's the All-American Sim Series. Live on V-Speed. Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Bradley Cooper, filling in for the American Racing Network. This production here from Long Beach for 1 hour long. Quick look at the track map. Opened back September 1975, discontinued in the mid-1980s. It's coming back here in 2025. 1.96 miles. Lowest elevation at 26 feet above sea level. The highest at 31 feet. 11 turns in this road course configuration, similar to Chicago street course. Race analysis: 1 hour race length, 40 mile per hour pit road speed limit, 1 fast repair, and 2 tire sets available. These drivers will have the iRacing fixed setup and will have a little bit shortened fuel, but nonetheless will be able to carry on for a one-stop race if they can keep it clean. Full course cautions, of course, turned off here tonight. Drivers will have to avoid that carnage and try to stay on pace. A variety of Mustangs, Corvettes, Porsches, McLarens, Acuras, and Lamborghinis will be going around this circuit. Even Audis out there. BMW's not very popular in this segment. This track, very, very difficult not to burn your tires up. So a quick look at the schedule. Last week's winner, Blake Scott, rather. Looks like he's up front again, but on the schedule at Road America, got that victory just a week ago. We'll go on to Sonoma Raceway in just 1 week's time. Of course, you can check out the All-American Network, Racing Network, over on YouTube. Subscribe there for future events. But with that, a look at your points. There's Blake Scott with 380 after that victory. Ken Huber is going to be right behind, 10 points behind, and then it's Dylan Mason, 80 points away in the third spot. Pretty big gap there for the top two, and that goes all the way back to Jonathan Eckert in 20th position. With that, let's take you trackside, get that grid up on your screen, starting on the pole here tonight. It's Blake Scott in the 367. Ken Huber is going to start to his right side in second spot. Row number 2 goes to Mark Scott. Jeff I had this one worked out. Perchatsky is going to start in the 4th position. Then 5th, Cody Williams. Kurt Basler is going to start in 6th. 7th, Wade Miskowitz is going to start in 7th. And I'm going to fail. This is Marcomini. I butcher names for a living. Nicholas Coate, Christopher Barker in 9th and 10th position. Trevor O'Neill and Jacob Bowen, 11th and 12th. Daniel Sheffer and Miles Gilson is going to start in 14th. Then 15th position, Angel Rodriguez, Brian Beckett, 15th and 16th. Pace car getting ready to pull off here. Pretty sizable field of 24 cars as we continue to go through. And for the first time on V-Speed, the All-American Racing Series is live at Long Beach. Final corner and going to lead lap number 1. Blake Scott has pulled away. You see them thunder around. A couple changes for position deeper in the field, but the top 10 has stayed about the same here. Nicholas Coate has picked up 1 position. Through this chicane turn, style turn around that fountain, that's where these cars are going to slow down pretty much the most of any place on this circuit. And you can see the passing, very difficult, similar to what I said with Chicago street course. A lot of 90-degree angles, tight on the walls. It's very easy to pull away here. Ken Huber has lost about 1.6 seconds, falling back from Blake Scott. Then Mark Scott in 3rd, Jeff Perchowski in 4th position. Top 10 starting to spread out a little bit more after only 1 lap into this race. And a little bump and run move there. Mark Scott trying to get around 2nd position. Ken Huber trying to use the bumper to get around as they complete lap number 2. And treble back here with the 153 of Jason Potter. He'll go around and looks like minimal damage, but the front end of that Acura a little messed up. We'll take you back on the V-Speed Instant Replay and show you what happened here. Just loses the back end on the throttle a little too heavy. Lucky to not get stuck in that wall there on that barrier and has to let everyone drive by. Tough break there for that Acura. Tries to lock it down. Just not enough there. And still ends up hitting the wall. Back up to speed now. Hopefully right square on that nose. Doesn't look like it messed up any of the cambers and should still have some pretty decent speed in that machine. Back up front though, that battle for 2nd position between Mark Scott and Ken Huber has subsided. They're back out to about 0.6 of a second separating these 2 drivers. It's right here in turn 11 where Mark Scott is really catching up to that Corvette in front of him. A little bit of a bad exit here for your 6th place driver, Kurt Basler. Lost a lot of ground to Cody Williams there coming out of turn 11. Still a lot of action going on deep in this field. This is Deshaun Gorham trying to get around Ronald Losey. this machine. This is back in the 24th position. And around the fountain chicane, back up to full song. It's a lot of work here, back and forth. A little scuff with the wall there. 5 cars starting to feel the pressure as Deshaun Gorhams continues to catch up. And a car around there. That stump around out of the corner in the 69. To get back on another replay to see what happened to this machine. Porsche in the same turn, it looks like, as the Acura just a moment ago. Jason Potter went around. See right here if he had some help. It's to the inside, crowds the outside line. There's no more room there to go, and looks like problems continue there. Just behind Noah Zimmerman, a little bit of contact there, trying to play defense. Schneider tried to get around on the right-hand side. The door was closed. This is back in the 19th, 17th, around that area. Looking for some tight battles. This is one of them. Just inside that top 20. You can see some damage on that Jack Daniels Mustang. Very easy to do here as well. And it sounds like another car in front of him clips that turn 11 wall. That might have been Jonathan Eckert. Not entirely sure who got a piece of it there. Meanwhile, in the 9th position, it's going to go back and forth between Nicholas Cote, Christopher Barker. 3 Porsches, nose to tail. See the handling differences of these GT3 cars, even through the manufacturers. That's true in real life and on iRacing. Different cars have different strengths and long straightaway speed. In some of these cars, because of these big spoilers, a little bit more difficult to hit that top end. Another clip on the wall. Sounds like some of these Ferraris having trouble. Off the back end. Maskowitz is going just about the same pace as he did in qualifying here, but has to play heavy defense. A mirror full of 2 different cars since the beginning of this race. Has lost ground of about 9 seconds to the lead, and 3.1 to the car in front of him. Cody Williams in the 14 is catching pace in that Audi. With a few on this racetrack, catching up to Blake Scott, who might have made a mistake there. Blake Scott was leading this race a moment ago. Let's see if we can go back and find what happened to Blake Scott. And clips one of the rumble strips and goes around. That hands the lead over there. More time on the replay. Just a slight little miscalculation on the entry of that corner. Got all 4 wheels up on that rumble strip. That curb upset the suspension. settles back into the top 5, goes back on offense. The 367 has a lot of ground to make up. 6 seconds back for Scott. So that'll hand the lead over to this guy. 2 laps led now. Ken Huber still has his hands full as Mark Scott keeps him honest. Less than a second behind. Car around again here. It's Trevor O'Neill. The 18 heavy damage on the front end of that Acura. And if that wall wasn't sponsored by Acura before, it is now. Body parts all over that track. The panels have completely come off the front end. And almost taking it like a chicane, maybe forgot the configuration. That's another difficulty at this racetrack. Right on board on this nose here, and take a look. There's no barriers on some of these intersections, and so it's very difficult to judge where the corner entry is. Locks up the wheel, slides into that barrier. In real life, that would be a tire barrier. Would still cause some damage, but in iRacing, unfortunately, it is seen as a solid wall. And so the front end of that car came off, hitting the equivalency of concrete here. Blake Scott has caught back up. A little nose touch there for the back of Kurt Baser. They're going to try to overtake on the outside. Door gets shut here off the 396. And a car around just in front of him. That was Jeff Perchatsky. The 3 car around and still trying to get it back underneath. Perchatsky in the Corvette. This is just another one of those mistakes. Miscalculating on throttle time. See, he has a mirror full as well. Maybe he had some help. No. Just got back to the throttle. It was a late spin. He had contact. Back this up one more time. You can see an attempt at an overtake here. And watch, just maybe a little touch there. Then on the throttle, loses control. Back to 12th now. Perchatsky started in 4th. Has the pace to be in this top 5. He's going to have to drive his way back up there, as did Blake Scott. Blake Scott has already accomplished that. Up to 3rd position, has overtaken on Kurt Baser, who has his hands full now with Cody Williams. Would expect this pit stop to come somewhere around the 30-minute mark. Cody Williams did a fantastic job saving his tires in these first 15 minutes. Down this long straightaway, has a chance at an overtake through the slipstream. Nothing there quite yet. Kurt Baser has been losing positions as of late, still up 2 from where he started. He might lose another one back to 5th. The racing continues. Here's Perchatsky going back to the outside, still trying to get around Daniel Sheffer into turn 11, moves him out of the way, and he'll get by onto the front stretch. And the helmet camera, you can see how much turbulence is in this machine, how difficult it is to judge these corners, how tight this window is to make a mistake. Back up front though, Ken Huber, 1.5 seconds ahead. Has now led 5 laps at the 15-minute mark. Will come by, possibly lead a sixth one. That Corvette is bad fast, out of turn 11. Mark Scott, Blake Scott trying to shorten that deficit down. And Huber continues on. Tony Williams still has not caught up to Kurt Vaser. That battle has subsided. Looking deep in this field, Jonathan Eckert out of the race. Gorham, Potter, and Bowen also early exits to this event. One lap down now for Dylan Mason. Trevor O'Neill loses a lap. Had to go in and burn one of those fast repairs. Coming back out of the pits now in the 21st position. Chatsky also into the pits. So 24 cars still out on the racetrack. The lead has dwindled down to 1.3 seconds. And Mark Scott, bad exit there on that corner, is going to lose it. And made up all that time, goes back to 1.6 seconds as they come down the front straightaway. So driver discipline to stay focused and not make those mistakes is 90% of the battle here. Very difficult to overtake. And a lot of these passes that have happened up here in this top 10, it's all been accounted for mistakes, drivers going around, losing control, and losing spots. That's where Mark Scott has done the best. He stayed in this second position, has not faltered. Ken Huber as well has just been perfect. They've been dead on, and they've stayed within a couple seconds of each other. By the end of this thing, I would look to see Mark Scott catch up to that 30. Keeping him honest. 20 minutes in. Down pit road now for Christopher Barker. Maybe a missed pit stall, not entirely sure here for the 46. Did actually have service for tires. 54 seconds down pit road. And on cold tires, you're going to see a little bit of a slow lap here, at least for the first couple out. It's going to take a while for these tires to get heated up and get back to full song. Car around here. That is the Lamborghini. Losi goes around. Goes around again here, and more front end damage. Losi has to be getting frustrated, but another self spin backs it into the wall. Sheer aggravation causes even more damage now to the rear spoiler. Takes it to the pits. Done for the day. Right here's the first spin. A hit with the wall. We're going to watch him regain control. He'll come back around in the very next corner and lose it again here. Another driver down pit road. Tough break there. Toe to pit road there for an eternity around this place. It's almost 2 miles long. And that driver was on the other side of this racetrack. And we did have a box missed here for Barker. Came into the pits, decided not to get service. Loses 31.5 seconds down pit road. But missed the pit stall. Trevor O'Neill also guilty of missing his pit stall. Back to 20th spot now. Down 9 for the 18. Miles Gilsinger in the 8th position. Biggest mover in this top 10. 6 positions gained, up to 8th. Looking at the back end. Auskowitz just in front there in the number 12. Lucy coming back out on the racetrack after getting that fast repair. It took a full 2 minutes to get this car back out onto the racetrack. So even though these drivers have an instant repair for damage, there's still a penalty on time, especially if you have to tow it back to pit road. Meanwhile, Mark Scott has pulled away from Blake Scott about 8.5 seconds, has the lead down to just over a second there briefly, has the lap down machine. I believe that's the 48 of Dylan Basin. Dylan Basin on fresher tires going to try to get that lap back. He has 2 cars to pass to do it. Don't want to make a mistake here with the lead cars, though. Into turn 11. Looks like he's given plenty of room here on the entry, but on the exit, that's where Mark Scott has suffered, and he loses a ton of time. Huber pulls away. What a lap that time by. Almost a full second faster than Mark Scott. Ken Huber is on rails. Battle for 13th. Got Cordell Cahill Jr. in the 13th position, defending off Leroy Colbins. Did I say Koblenz? I meant Koblenz. Dyslexia in full force here on V-Speed tonight. And I'd like to apologize for butchering some of these names. This is very much out of the rhythm of what I'm used to. Not mainly for the last names, but mostly for the fact that we're turning left here and right. Prochatsky, Basin, Martin Jr., Stumpf, Losi, and Zimmerman have all hit the pits here. Barker and O'Neill tried to hit pit road, missed their stalls, are both back about 20th and 18th position. As this driver continues to lead halfway through this event. Well, don't go anywhere. We still have plenty of racing left to be done. You're watching the All-American Racing League. More coverage will continue here on V-Speed right after this. back here live at Long Beach. A lot of racing left to be done, about halfway through the hour mark. Ken Huber has led the vast majority of the laps here tonight. The All-American Racing Series in their GT3 league. Just about halfway through that mark. Race recap up on your screen. One lead change here today. It's been a relatively quiet race for most of these drivers in the top 10. But the biggest mover of the race with pit stops going on right now. We've got Blake Scott down pit road now for service. And a few other takers down pit road a moment ago before this commercial break. Mark Scott still out on the racetrack, and you can see that lead is stretched out to almost 4 full seconds. Huber is right on the money with every one of these exits, especially in turn 11. Has been making up a ton of time and is a full second faster than Mark Scott the last time around. A minute 20.7 for Huber. Mark Scott a minute 21.8. An overtake shaping up here. Shuts the door on that Porsche. Wade Maskowitz closes that door. Ezekiel Marcomini tried to go by on the right-hand side there. Looked left again. You see here through these final couple corners, if he can make that back up, it messed with his rhythm. And through turn 11, he get right back on the bumper, but not able to do anything with that. Just a tight track. And of course, your frustration will start to take over as we get progressively closer to the end of this race. Guys are cutting each other slack here early. The combination of different pit strategies, different tires and fuel, and any other calculation you want to throw out there, plus the lack of time, drivers are going to get a little impatient. They're going to get into each other, and you might see some of these moves with the chrome horn, a little bump and run action. Just have to be careful not to dump a guy. A lot of the noses on these machines can become a snowplow and move a guy a little harder than you predict. Lack of rear traction in these low-speed corners. Downforce not a factor on that rear spoiler, especially there in turn 11. It's got to be all mechanical grip, and if this car gets upset and gets moved out of the way, these machines will slide right through the exit. We've seen that a couple times here today. Ordell Cahill Jr., is on pit road now in the 16th position. Is elected to drop the jacks now. 4 tires. A couple more seconds here in the box. Lap traffic going to become a factor here momentarily. Ken Huber, this is probably the window of opportunity to get that pit stop underway. Their car down pit road, that's Christopher Barker in the number 46. Schneider also in there. It looks like Schneider maybe misses the pit stall here. And that's been a more than often occurrence here. It's never really common, but we've seen quite a few drivers drive down pit lane and miss the box entirely. So I'm not sure if there's an issue with graphics. Maybe drivers not seeing, as they call him, the lollipop holder. Cody Williams will take over the lead as Huber has brought it down pit road, down and away now for your dominant driver right now of the day. 18 laps led in this 30 minutes. Has an overtake here. But Huber comes back out in the second spot. That's how massive of a lead he had. And the drivers behind hitting the pit road. Sheffer in as well. Baser down and away. Blake Scott, the driver that was up in that top spot, made a mistake, gets the damage repaired. Mark Scott, the 267, in fourth position. Angel Rodriguez, and up to third now, still out on the racetrack. First and third have elected not to hit pit road just yet. 27 minutes. Here comes Cody Williams now. And Williams on board. Make sure that he finds this pit box. He will. And service now to the number 14. Rodriguez still out on the racetrack. There's a battle for 8th position. Nelsinger, Perchotsky. An American-themed Acura. An American muscle behind him. Looks to the inside. Can't get the door there. Now to the left side. Back to the right side in turn 11. Just nothing going for him right now. Looks like Perchotsky could get around the 77. Just needs the opportunity. Ken Huber back to the lead. It's up to 9.5 seconds now for the number 30. Uncontested since he took over the lead from the mistake with Blake Scott. Has continued to pull away. Now at the intersection, turn 9 to turn 10. Has no reason to push the issue here, but look how tight on turn 11. That 30 car has been all race long. Marcomini looks at the back of Daniel Sheffer. This is for the 12th position. Marcomini is 53 seconds back from the lead, but just 3/10 separate him and the 329 for this spot. It's an additional 14 seconds to catch up. Did you see that overtake down the straightaway? 14 seconds up here. Maskowitz. Cody Williams cycles back out after that pit stop in the top 5 into 4th position. "23 cars still running, but also Martin Jr., Jonathan Eckert, Deshaun Gorham, Jason Potter, and Jacob Bowen all out for the day. Noah Zimmerman here going around 4 laps down. Rory Stump, who had a self-spin earlier in this race, 3 laps down in 22nd position. Losi also frustrated, 2 laps down in 21st. Still up from where he began this race, but it was a lot higher at one point. And there's Bob Carroll, a name we haven't mentioned yet today. Started in 25th, has gained 10 positions. It's a big mover in this race, but you can see letting those lead cars go by, he'll go a lap down now. Ryan Beckett will be the next machine. 14 cars still on the lead lap. There's where Beckett is coming out of turn 11. So still some cushion here for Beckett. As Ken Huber continues to motor around into turn 11. A nice shot on the onboard there, showing you how tight to the wall the number 30 can be. So now down to crunch time, this is where drivers will make the most mistakes. They'll start to push harder forward position. They'll see that relative of the car in front, try to chase it down. And usually when you start racing the cars around you and not the track, that's where it comes back to get you. Staying locked in, staying focused. Very easy to get tunnel vision here. Forget what portion of the racetrack you're on, or even break that focus. Because of the success that you had in the start of this race means nothing. Spoiler missing on the back end of the 396. Kurt Baser lost a ton of ground to your 6th place driver, Nicholas Coate. And let's see if we can find out what happened to Kurt Baser. Here in the V-Speed Instant Replay, looked like trying to work, and into turn 11, gets sideways, backs it into the wall, and that's where that spoiler was lost. There was a lap down car in front, not happy, flashing the lights. But even without that rear spoiler, hasn't had too bad of a time, still maintaining the position in the 5th spot. Battle for 7th heats up yet again. Gilsinger and Prochatsky. We saw this earlier. Prochatsky a little bit stronger through the rhythm sections of this racetrack. Loses some of that ground, though. Under the helmet camera, you can see what he's seeing. Now, stuff with the wall there for the 77. Could have been an opportunity. Johnski not able to do anything with it. Slowly creeping into the picture behind these two is Dylan Basin in the 48. The Dark Horse Mustang. Started at 24th. He is the biggest mover of this race. 15 positions gained into the top 10, and the Jack Daniels 48 is all over. Really loose out of turn 11, almost slides it into the inside wall. Was able to regain control. Let's watch some of this wheel work on the onboard here. Got a clip on the wall there. So a little temporary stinger on the right hand of that machine, but not enough to take him out of this battle. He'll continue to creep back up to Prochatsky and Gilsinger. Prochatsky has been working on the back of the 77 for about 10 laps now, pretty much since they came off of pit road. We're 7 laps on this stint. They're just not able to find a window of opportunity. Remember, the 3 made a mistake earlier in this race to put him in this situation. Has not been able to race back up to where he was. Chotsky started up in the 4th spot. Has the pace to be up here in this top 5. Matching lap times with Kurt Baser right now. But it has to overtake for the 7th position to do anything with it. Rest of the field, rather spread out. 7.5 seconds. Mark Scott has trimmed off about 1.5 seconds. Lap traffic is now a factor for Ken Huber. It has been for a few laps now. We saw it just before pit road, and this field spread out all the way around this place. Get an aerial view of Long Beach. And somewhere out here, if you check out early, right along the beach, there's a Chili's. Might find myself there in about 16 minutes. As Ken Huber pulls away. Better lap this time by. They were getting within 1/10 of each other. But Mark Scott seems to be better on the short run. On this stint of tires, 8 laps for the front 2. Blake Scott, 13 laps. He was catching up a moment ago to Mark Scott, but now about 3 seconds back, separating 2nd and 3rd position. Battle hasn't stopped. 7th through 9th position, all within 1/10 of each other. Koski, the meat in the sandwich here, clips the wall on the exit of turn 6. Rhythm to hit those gears. Downshifting into the next corner. See, down to 2nd gear. Just hasn't been enough drive off yet to find a window. And I'm starting to wonder if maybe Dylan Basin can get around these 2. Last time by, 4/10 faster for the 48 compared to the 2 in front of him. Still hunting here. 7th through 9th. Ken Huber, your leader. Mark Scott, Blake Scott, Cody Williams, Kurt Baser, the top 5. Nicholas Coate, Miles Gilsinger, Jeff Perchotsky, Dylan Basin, and Wade Maskowitz for the top 10. Pretty sizable gap back here to the 10th position. 10 seconds back from the battle that you were watching just a moment ago. Chotsky got another good run there. Be right up on the back bumper going into turn 11. And gets a little loose. This might be the opportunity for Dylan Basin. It is not. Did not get the drive off of that corner. Into turn 1, we'll try the overtake to the inside of turn 1, left-hander. And a spot gain now has to go to work on Miles Gilsinger. These three drivers have not put it to rest. Sideways again here. Not sure. That was an all-white Lamborghini there. I believe that was Ronald Losi. Just handling has struggled all night here for the 5. We're looking back on the replay. Might have rewound it a little too much, trying to find where the Sim Motion 5 goes around. There it is. Touches another rumble strip. And unfortunately goes around with about 12 minutes to go, back to 21st, 2 laps down. Mason continues the offense. Continuing to put pressure on the 77. It was almost enough there. We'll get to the overtake on the right-hand side. This is for the 7th position. As we mentioned a moment ago, 77 has had pace, but he's going to end up losing a spot trying to overtake. Here comes Perchatsky back to the inside. Passes one, but still nobody able to get around Gilsinger. Down the front straightaway, if you're in the 77's shoes right now, I guarantee that you're nervous. You got to be feeling that pressure. You've had 2 different attempts at your position, and this time through the slipstream down the front stretch into turn 1. Chotsky has a good run right up on the bumper here through the chicane, gets loose, and looks like Dylan Basin to the left-hand side. And what a move there for the 48. He'll get the overtake, doubles down, and passes again for the 8th position. They lose ground on the 77 in the process. While we were watching that, Blake Scott has progressively worked his way closer to teammate Mark Scott. The 367 flashing the lights to let him know he's on the way. 1.2 seconds, 1.3 into turn 1. Through the chicane, this car's been a little bit quicker, gets a really good drive into that entry, and now on the back bumper for the 2nd position. Teammate letting him by. From over 5 seconds back to get up here. Politely lets him go. Blake Scott back to 2nd. It's now 30 laps led with under 10 minutes to go. We'll come by. It takes about 1:21, so I would see about another 8 laps, 7 to 8 here around this course. Before we see that white flag, though, it's not over. Ken Huber has been perfect. He has lap traffic in front of him. And all it takes is for one of these drivers to make a mistake. Right there, an opportunity for that to happen. Not exactly sure who that was there. Scott Schneider letting the leader by. Now 2 laps down to the 17 and 15th spot. Angel Rodriguez, the last car on the lead lap, just in front of your leader, Ken Huber. Marlboro, number 23. has about 3.5 seconds. Daniel Scheffer in the number 11 position. Number 329 Porsche. Quiet night here for Scheffer, only up 2 spots. Chotsky, meanwhile, has gotten around Gissinger. Gissinger has fallen back to Dylan Basin. You can see here how much time there has been between Nicholas Cote and your 7th place driver, Jeff Chotsky. He's got 4.3 seconds to get up there to 6th. An overtake just behind here. Slide through on the exit of that corner. A little bit of a sin there. Gissinger still on full defense. 7 minutes to go. Christopher Barker, Schneider, 15th position up for grabs. So you see the 17 takes it out a little wide, ends up flipping the wall, trying to break the slipstream. That still allows the 46 to the left side, and he'll get by. Barker up to 15th now. Both these cars, 4th position, 2 laps down, but both for a spot into the top 15. How about this? Basler has had no spoiler for about 10 laps now and has somehow been able to drive this thing in the top 5 for the entirety of that. It's impressive. Might be helping on these straightaways, less drag, but it's got to be hurting into turn 1. You see it pulls away a little bit here. The rear downforce on that machine has to be suffering. You can see on these corners where Nicholas Cote actually catches back up, and I'm not sure if that's the damage model or if Basler is just being a little bit more cautious. Looks like we have some parts on the racetrack there. And it looks like Kolbens might have crashed somewhere in turn 3. Passenger may have crashed as well. Let's go back on the instant replay. Passenger hits that debris and loses control a little bit here. Let's see if we can go back and find out what happened to Kolbens. Not sure if it was here or later on. There's a spin, and that might have been where those parts came from. That is not, so we'll back it up. I have one other spot where I think maybe this debris came from. Take a look here. It's Bob Carroll. Goes around, loses the rear bumper, and that's where that part came from on the racetrack. Back in, completely busted out of this machine, crab walking down the straightaway. And an early exit there for Bob Carroll. 4 minutes left, about 3 laps to go. Ken Huber overtakes there to put another car a lap down. It's Daniel Scheffer in the 11th spot. Only 10 cars still on the lead lap. Ezekiel Marcamini in that Ferrari. has a decent enough cushion here. I don't foresee this driver going a lap down. Had some problems here as Dylan Basin tried to go around Miles Gissinger. Here's a tight battle into turn 11. On the wrong side of it, though. Has to take turn 11 wide, and that allowed Gissinger to get back around. Dylan Basin has already passed several different times. Just can't keep the spot here. Still a top 10 day, though, for the 48. 15 positions gained, would like to get one more. All in all, a good race for him. Great race for Nicholas Coate, up 3 spots. Gissinger up 6. And maybe an overtake here. This is where it was attempted there a moment ago. And contact here for the 8th position. Mason getting impatient. Trying to size this up between Dylan Basin and Miles Gissinger. Minute 32 left in this event. Huber is going to get the white flag this time by. That means that for Mason, this could be the last opportunity. So we'll go one more time before the white flag. Actually, we'll get it now. iRacing finally throws it out there. And for Ken Huber, 4.5 seconds. Blake Scott was catching up. Looks like Scott might have got some damage somewhere from the lap car. Mark Scott back here in third, 7/10 back, catching up to his teammate, has regained some of that traction. Cody Williams comes across the line in 4th spot, 24 seconds back. It's still up for grabs, though. Dylan Basin crosses the stripe for the white flag, and he is all over the back bumper. Miles Gissinger has his work cut out for him here into turn 1 on the right-hand side. Not the preferred line to overtake, but moves him out of the way. He'll get by into the chicane. Gissinger finally gives it up there. But through the final corner, for the final time here from Long Beach, Ken Huber is going to be victorious. Ken Huber takes the trophy in California. Across the line in 2nd position, Blake Scott. Mark Scott just behind him. Chotsky has a chance at 6th position, but doesn't have enough straightaway speed. And he'll be stuck in the 7th spot. Dylan Basin has pulled away 2.1 seconds. And he'll come across in 8th. Top 10 day. It's Ezekiel Markamini across for 10th position. And the rest of these drivers take it to the pit road. Don't go anywhere. Post-race coverage in just a moment. You're watching the All-American Racing Series live on V Speed from Long Beach. More coverage will continue. Final results and post-race coverage right after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Back here live from Long Beach, the All-American Racing Series has concluded its 1-hour event. Ken Huber becomes victorious in the second race. Going to tighten up those points. Blake Scott, Mark Scott, your top three. Final results on your screen. There was 3 lead changes here tonight. 2 of those coming from pit strategy, pit road. Overall, there was 1 overtake for the lead, and it was Ken Huber who held on to it and never looked back. Cody Williams gets a top 5. He'll finish in the 4th position. Then you have Kurt Basler. Sorry, I butchered that all night long. He'll finish in 5th. Nicholas Cote, Jeff Perchotsky, Dylan Basin, Miles Gilsinger, and Ezekiel Marcumeni will round out your top 10. Great day there for the 8th place finisher, Dylan Basin, getting 16 spots gained. Daniel Sheffer will finish in 11th position with Angel Rodriguez in 12th. Brian Beckett will finish 13th with Christopher Barker in 14th. Trevor O'Neill will finish in 15th position. Cordell Cahill Jr. in 16th. Leroy Colbins will finish in 17th. Manuel Schneider in 18th. Rory Stump in 19th. Bob Carroll will be your top 20. 8 more cars to talk about here. Frustrating day for Ronald Losi. Finishes in 21st. Heavy damage some way in the midway point of this race. 22nd, Wade Maskowitz will finish there in the 12. Noah Zimmerman in 23rd. Russell Martin Jr., early exit to the day. Jonathan Eckert, 25th. Also an early exit. Deshaun Gorham, Jason Potter, and Jacob Bowen will round out your field. With that, let's get our post-race interviews underway. We have our 3rd place finisher, and it's Mark Scott in the number 267. And Mark, I saw you concede the position here. You gave the spot up to your teammate, but then went back on offense for those final few laps. Thought maybe you were going to catch him for second.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to catch my son. He's a little faster than I am, but yeah, I kind of messed up on one turn and he got right on me, so I figured might as well let him through and give him a shot to chase down Ken. But Ken was on it tonight, so good race, Ken.
Well, we saw the mistake there as well, and so it was very easy to lose traction. There's not a lot of aerodynamics in these turns, and so it looked like it was rather difficult to get back on the throttle without losing control tonight. How much did that play into this race?
Oh, that was a big factor. This Mustang's got so much torque that you got to feather the throttle coming out of the corners. Otherwise, you're just going to loop it into the wall. So, especially further down the race as the tires got hot, it was really slippery.
And finally, Mark, we come in. This is just the second race. It's no reason to panic just yet. But do you feel confident going into next week when we go to California? Well, we're at California now, but when we go to Infineon Raceway?
Uh, that's a good question. Pretty confident. Yeah, I feel I could be in the top 5, 4, maybe 3. Blake and Ken are fast. Cody's fast, and there were a couple other guys, Dylan, and I forget the other guy, but he was also fast. So it's gonna be a good race next week, the whole season for that matter.
Oh, well, we have you up in the booth. Is there anybody that comes to mind to put this machine on the racetrack? Go ahead and shout them out.
Well, like Blake mentioned, the last race, my father passed away on August 1st. So, and he used to be a sim racer as well. We'd have 3 generations of Scots racing in these leagues, and it was a lot of fun racing with my dad. So, shout out to my dad and my family that's watching, my mom, my daughter, um, my girlfriend's watching. So, yeah, it was a great time, and shout out to everyone. Thank you guys for putting this on. It's a lot of work, and appreciate everything you guys do.
Condolences to you, Mark Scott. We appreciate your time up here in the booth and hope to see you next week.
You got it. You'll see me. Have a great night.
Mark Scott, third place finisher here tonight. We'll move on to our second place finisher. That'll be Blake Scott in the number 367. And Blake, looked like you had a little mistake there, but you were able to recover, not fully, but you got back into the top 3. I mean, it just looked like, and I mentioned there earlier to your dad, it was difficult to get off these corners, this flat track, and these cars so aero dependent. How tough was it for you tonight?
Yeah, a little disappointed in that one. I blew it off the start there, but happy to recover. Second place, I can't complain with that. But yeah, these Mustangs lay down a lot of power. The track was hot. Some of these turns are kind of off camber a little bit, so it was just hard to put the power down and really feel 100% confident. But can't complain. I'm happy with the P2. Great job to Ken and my dad for rounding out the podium. Yeah, just not my night. How it goes.
Well, and so overtaking was kind of the equivalent of a city bus in rush hour traffic at times. You put it down though. You were able to recover those positions. Take us through passing all those cars when you had started up front. How difficult was that? Not predicting to be in traffic and then trying to save your tires while still getting around these guys.
Yeah, no, that was tricky. You can pull up onto someone, but it's not the easiest thing in the world to actually get by them. So applying pressure and trying to force a mistake out of them was kind of my game plan, and it worked. Got me up to P3, and then kind of the same thing happened with my pops. Got into second, and I just ran out of time. I didn't have enough to chase Ken down.
4.1 seconds, the deficit there. Had you had more time, I think we would have had a race on our hands there for the end of this race. But nonetheless, come home on the podium. Anybody you'd like to shout out here before we let you go?
Yeah, shout out to the family watching, friends. Shout out to my pops, my teammate, and the team itself, Aerokinetics. And as always, you guys, thank you so much for putting this on. It's a blast, and looking forward to next week.
We'll see you in 1 week's time there at Infineon Raceway. Blake Scott, second place finisher. Thank you for your time.
Of course, thank you.
And finally, that brings us down to Victory Lane, where Ken Huber in the number 30 machine, just a dominant day, a dominant performance, was able to pull out to the lead almost a full 10 seconds at one point. And just a slight little mistake there, heads up move to get around that. You never look back after it.
No, that's I didn't catch the first part to what you said there, Bradley, but yeah, he made that little slip up there. I think that was Blake, right? And he made that mistake, and I know in this track we were just talking about that it is impossible to pass that. And once I got by, I was like, okay, now I just need to not make mistakes. But then, of course, you got traffic to contend with later on, so that was always the rest of my fear for the rest of the race.
And rightfully so. It seemed like this track is almost like a cheese grater. Once you get stuck in the wall, you're pretty much done, and you're going to end up looping it around right in traffic. And I don't know, with your personal experience, we saw a few guys loop it around right in front of other drivers that were in the lead pack. Did you have any of that to contend with tonight?
Yeah, I had a few guys spin out in front of me. As far as my own car goes, the car is a little bit loose. I mean, we're running the medium downforce sets, and then as the tires start wearing out, you can't get the power down, and you have to brake easier into the corners, and that's just the nature of the setup. And then so this type of track favors a high downforce setup, and it's the way it is. But it also makes you use good car control. So I kind of like the medium downforce setups, but that's probably why some of the guys were having problems.
Well, outside of that, you had very minimal problems. You led 38 laps. You were putting down a minute 20 there at one point. Congratulations on the victory. Second race of the season, Ken. Anybody you want to shout out?
Yeah, Mark and Blake, those two guys are fast. They've been fast every week, so shout out those guys. I'm gonna shout out my buddies, Crescent Cow and Todd Bruner and Jeff Mullen. They were all in my pit crew cheering me on tonight. So I appreciate those guys being here, and I appreciate you guys in the broadcast and the league. It looks like it's going pretty good. I also want to thank the lap cars tonight, because last week it was a little sketchy with lap cars. Tonight they were really good, really considerate, and it was very nice. So very pleasantly surprised. So shout out to everybody that ran this race tonight.
We appreciate your time. Shout out to you for coming up here, and congratulations again. We'll see you at Infineon Raceway in just 7 days.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, sir.
Ken Huber, victorious at Long Beach. Well, that's going to do it for us here on V-Speed. Hope you enjoyed tonight's coverage. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you'll never miss a single race. We have other leagues that we broadcast for through the week, and we'll be going back full-time in just about a month here, starting in February. Saturday Night Racing League, Racing Revolution, a lot of oval racing on the scene. And catch us on Sunday, the PCA. Maybe letting the cat out of the bag, but might be seeing a little trial run here on V-Speed with some more road racing. But the All-American Racing Series and their GT3 League has concluded their event at Long Beach. We'll see you in 1 week's time. For everybody at V-Speed, Adam Baker, our other producers, Eddie Smith, Morgan Cook, Logan Threlkeld, and Daniel Lyon. This is Bradley Cooper saying so long. Go check him out over at American Racing Network.